She said it was the truth. I told her perhaps, but the reason I could never love her again is the fact that she's a lying, deceitful, worthless, promiscuous, lying W-H-O-R-E. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over part 3 of the story, the Scorched Earth story that I've been doing for the last couple of days. You guys have definitely enjoyed. And normally I would do a recap, but since this is really long, and you guys obviously all know what happened, I'm just going to pick up where things left off. But I will say this, that in this particular episode, this is going to be where the guy sees his kids for the first time after learning that horrible news. And also you're going to see he has a major confrontation with his wife. Says a lot of things that need to be said and finds out her perspective on why she did what she did. You all find that amusing. And things leading up to where things really go crazy with the Scorched Earth. And let me tell you, Scorched Earth in episode 4, which will be out tomorrow. So, getting into this, because it's definitely entertaining, it continues. He says, the go-between from the law firm texted me at 3 o'clock Sunday to let me know she had the kids securely in the car with their belongings and was on the way to the house. I doubt any text message in history has been as dreaded for anyone as that one was for me. What made it all more tragic was the fact that weeks before, I would have smiled and anxiously awaited the text. Suddenly, a reunion that I had been yearning for was something I dreaded. Again, this is the first time he's seeing his kids, particularly his daughter, who he found out in the last episode isn't his biological child. I had no plans to mention divorce, paternity, or any issues with the kids. As much as I tried to prepare myself, I knew I wasn't in the state of mind to bring any of that up. My goal was for things to go as normal as possible, like the other times they stayed with grandparents while Mari and I were on vacation. That's what I wanted. I really knew reality was going to be something completely different, and I had little control over it. Jessica, the intern from the law firm, pulled into the driveway. I watched them pull up from the front bay window. I walked outside and down the steps as the car pulled to a stop. I was smiling as I approached the passenger side of Jessica's car. As soon as I saw Carrie in her seat, she was beaming with a huge smile at me. I started crying. Oh, I was still smiling. You could have knocked that damn smile. You could have knocked that damn smile off me with a 2x4. I just hoped I'd maintain a smile. It might convince the kids and myself that everything was okay, and I wish I had a plan B. This guy's he's an emotional guy, but you can certainly understand given all the shit that is going in his life, obviously the last few weeks. As soon as I get her out of the car and the car seat, Michael was by my side, and I grabbed he and Carrie and just hugged them. I told them I missed them, and that was really all I could manage to say. I just kept crying. And people can hate on me all they want to. God knows I've gotten some hate-filled messages privately and publicly. But it all felt different. It did not feel the same day as I had hugged my children goodbye. I wanted to say it did. Just to the people who think I'm a loathsome wretch off of my back. Maybe part of the loss I was feeling was over the family unit we all used to know being destroyed. My heart was just flat out broken. Seeing them and knowing that she isn't mine just broke my heart all over again. That is what my life has become. Every single damn day it feels like there is a new heartbreak. I learn more of the extremes of Mari's cheating escapades. I discover pain I can't shield the kids from. I'm reminded of the past bonds and know they were all founded on lies. I keep backing away from the volcanic epicenter of chaos that started when I caught Mari cheating. But I kept getting blasted with stray boulders of betrayal daily, learning how much I've been deceived. This guy ought to be a novelist. Obviously, it's very therapeutic for him to write out his story and updates to make himself, to deal with all this shit. Jessica was a saint and helped me get them into the house. I grabbed all their belongings like a pack mule, and she closed the doors and trunk. As soon as I placed their bags down on the floor, I turned to see Carrie looking up at me. She didn't say anything. She just looked up at me with those eyes like she knew I was the one that needed the hug. I squatted down. She walked in my arms and wrapped her little arms around me as tightly as she knew how. That child broke me. I wanted to be strong, but no could she hear a parent cry like that. Everyone keeps insisting I do the things that damage them the least. That's great, even logical. But what if everything changes them? What if everything damages them? What if there is no way to keep them from damage from happening? Allowing her to see the source of strength and security destroyed has to be damaging to her. How could it not? If I abandoned her, it would be destroying her. Yet by staying in her life, I am damaging her as well. A 6-year-old shouldn't have to console a grown damn man, especially for something that wasn't her fault. I said in the last episode, whatever you do, don't cry in front of your kids, especially when they find out about all this. But obviously, he's having a hard time there. But yeah, gotta stay strong for her. They need that. But the little girl, she lied and told me she was mine. But the little girl, she lied and told me was mine, just showed me love the only way she knew how and kept hugging. The indisputable truth of the matter, the epiphany I had that moment, she and I were both victims. Yeah, you're all victims. And your ex, or soon-to-be ex, is just a monster. And it's going to be revealed more, guys, just how much of a monster she is. As the adult, I'm supposed to be able to maintain and handle it better. She doesn't even know how she's been victimized yet, just as if she and I were the only survivors of a plane crash that we had survived, but it's going to leave scars in our souls. But as the survivors, we need to stick together. We need to be there for each other because we're going through the same damn thing. Yes, very different perspectives, but at that moment I was feeling the loss and yet sparing her much of the pain by taking it upon myself. That's what a strong father or a strong parent does for their kids. That's what they do. I've been looking at this as Mari taking my daughter from me. But it is just as true to say Mari took her father from her. The villain in this damn story is Mari. I'm done feeling like I should feel guilt for anything I feel right now. There is no paternity handbook that I'm aware of. Reddit knows how to respond when someone is being cheated on and gives top-notch advice. All the way through the divorce. The proper way to react when you find out the daughter you raised was never yours. Get the hell out of there with that shit. Nobody can tell me how the hell I should feel or react. The only analogy I can give is children switched at birth. That's a couple facing that together. They were both deceived. They both get to find out the offspring they were told was their flesh and blood was really the sperm and ovum from another couple. Unless you've endured that or the same thing I'm right now, you can't grasp how it feels. Yeah, no reader that finds this can possibly get what it feels like unless they've gone through the exact same thing. People can be empathetic, but they can't, and people were obviously giving this guy a hard time, if you can believe that. Well, I can believe that because people are nuts. After about half an hour, I managed to get my shit together. Jessica left, and after getting a hug from all three of us, I handed her a small envelope with $500 inside and told her it was for gas. I knew she drives an EV, and she knew it wasn't for gas. I carried Carrie around my arms as Michael showed me some of the things he'd helped me with his grandfather. Carrie just kept her arms around my neck, making sure I knew she'd help stain some of the wood. I went into my standard "I don't believe you" game. Michael joined in. That devoted it into a tickle session first for Carrie, then Michael. I cannot convey how wonderful and at the same time heartbreaking it was to hear Carrie's squeals and laughter. Seeing Michael happy and laughing was a joy for my broken soul, because I knew the future held little to none of what we're at the moment enjoying. They teamed up to wrestle me. I like seeing them work together, even if it was against me. Father or not, by the time she's old enough to date, I'll have her able to say no with a feeling. I put on some music. Ever since she was a baby, Carrie had loved music. I have danced with her from the first week she was born up until the previous month. I'm sure I look goofy. I don't care. I have fun, and she loves acting as silly with me. I got Uber Eats to bring out some takeout for dinner. We aren't Asian, but sure as hell eat like it. Michael can throw down some lo mein for a 10-year-old, and for whatever reason, Carrie loves crab rangoon. I didn't eat much. My appetite is gone, taking care of any weight loss issues I had. I just enjoyed getting to dinner with them again today. They both had school today, so I got them bathed, PJ'd, and ready for bed. Michael likes to read a book as he's settling down. I gave him a hug, told him I loved him, and I'd see him in the morning. I got Carrie tucked into bed and read her a storybook while pointing out things in the artwork. I had her about ready to nod off, and I felt myself wearing up with tears. I kissed Carrie on her head and told her, "I love you." For the first time since finding out. Call me the biggest a-hole on the planet, I don't care. But saying it was like allowing myself to admit it. Everything in my life has been a struggle in recent days to figure out what is real and what wasn't real. My love for Carrie is real. I love her. I do feel different. Right or wrong, I do. But I love her. I went from not wanting to take anything away from her to continuing to want to give. It's a huge difference. Good. I'm glad these kids are helping him feel a little bit better and all that, even though he knows what's going to be coming down on the horizon and all that. I know this is a little mushy, guys, but we're going to get to some more drama-filled stuff in a moment. Don't you worry. But anyhow, I was sort of waiting for Carrie to tell me she loves me. I mean, I know she does without her saying it. No, she took the moment to tell me, Mommy loves you. I know what she said. I made a point not to snap at her and be as sweet as I possibly could be when I asked her, Carrie, why did you tell me that? She said, Mommy told her. I very sweetly asked if Mommy just said that or if Mommy told her to tell me it. It seems my soon-to-be ex had to explain why I hadn't been there to visit, wouldn't be coming over, and she wouldn't be coming home with them. She actually told the kids her parents' house was her new home, which I was kind of glad of. But the I love you BS, I still had to get to the bottom of it. I pried some more, then Michael came into the room. He revealed her mom had told them she wouldn't be coming home because I didn't love her anymore. What the F? What was I supposed to say to that? Yep, it's all on me. I just fell out of love with your mom. Blame me was not happening. So the mother did all this, and now she's making the kids think the reason that they're not going to be together anymore is Daddy's fault. As if this couldn't get any worse. If she couldn't show her fangs before, now she's really showing the fangs, the claws, the Darth Maul horns coming out of her head. Honest to God. But this gets interesting. I got on the phone and called our usual sitter. I asked her if there's any way she could come over for a few hours to look after the kids. Since they were already in bed, and that meant she could study while getting paid, she agreed. I got in the car and made a beeline for my in-laws' house. I didn't bother calling first. When I got there, I knocked on the front door and asked to see Mari. Her mom led me to the childhood room where she was recuperating from her injuries. I turned to her mom and placed my hand on the doorknob before telling her Mari and I needed to chat. She sensed I was a little on the pissed off side, so she scurried out of the blast radius. As soon as the door was closed, I asked her who the F she thought she was trying to pin our split on the fact that I could never love her again. She said it was the truth. I told her perhaps, but the reason I could never love her again is the fact that she's a lying, deceitful, worthless, promiscuous, lying WHORE. Well said and quite warranted. Way to deflect blame on her little role and everything. She then said she already tried to apologize, but I didn't want to hear it. Of course you didn't want to hear it, because you've been hooking up with dudes forever. I found out that my daughter is not my biological child because of you. And walked in on you hooking up with some dude. Amongst many other things, you've ruined the marriage and ruined the family. No, I'm not going to accept your apology and just act like nothing happened and go back to everything being normal. Bullshit. And in spite of all that, I didn't believe she was truly sorry for what she's done. She wasn't sorry. Because if she was sorry, she'd have to be accountable for her actions. And we all know the joke about the gals and accountability. I asked her how she could manipulate two innocent children to make me look like the bad guy if she had any guilt. I asked her at what point I became the bad guy that destroyed our marriage. Without missing a beat, she told me when I didn't give her a second chance. Not gonna lie, I stopped her and asked her how much pain medication was she taking and if she was drinking alcohol with it. Wouldn't give her a second chance. I don't think JC would give her a second chance, let alone this guy. Good Lord. That was the only logical way I could see her thinking a worthless, lying tramp deserves a second chance, mercy, to be treated with dignity and respect. Nope, she lost all that by her own actions. Again, I don't even know who my wife is anymore. It's like she's being possessed by the ghost of Caligula or Charlie Sheen. My beautiful, virtuous wife was replaced by a soulless, hookup harlot, and it's a miracle God himself, my junk, hasn't rotted off due to her disgusting actions. I asked her if she felt justified destroying everything in her life for SEX. She said it wasn't just for SEX. Listen to this, guys. I reminded her she claimed to want no emotional involvement. She said much of it, especially at first, was about, wait for it, validation. She said she liked being chased. She got pissed when I asked her how could ever consider herself a chast. But she can't get bent. Actions affect how you are perceived the rest of your days. She can deal with it. Mari and I ended up talking for several hours. When she went through the depression after having Michael, she even told me that I had been the best supportive husband she could ever ask for. So I had to ask, why betray me so cruelly? Validation. She liked being chased. What did I tell you guys about that? It's like a drug to them. I heard it years ago. A guy compared women to needing validation the way plants need water and sunlight. They can't function without it. Right there. She had a kid, needs to feel like she's still attractive and young. Validation. She can get all the validation in the world from her good, honest, loyal, supportive husband. Doesn't matter. She needs it from every dude in town. And eventually sausage from every dude in town. She said that despite such a happy event in our life, there was a part of her so anxiety-ridden, she actually wanted to die. She said she felt love in her heart for me and Michael, but for some reason she couldn't understand and she felt depressed and dead inside. She stayed out of work for an additional 6 months due to her issues. I got her the best shrinks and doctors money could buy. She admits as much, and she said that she started making her feel guilty, feeling she was letting me down. I was carrying us. She said she felt overwhelmed even though she knew she wasn't bearing any of the burden. She said she started to doubt if she should ever become a mother despite always wanting to be a mom. Well, we all know darn well this woman has no business being a mom or wife or anything like that. She withdrew from friends in person and via internet, text. She told me every day she loved me and apologized. I told her she had nothing to apologize for. I just wanted her to get better. Maybe she was apologizing for what she was about to do. We're doing flashbacks here, guys, in case you didn't pick up on that. When Rebecca, the notorious Becca, who's been hiding her cheating all along and eating and assisting, when Rebecca came to the house unannounced that first day, I was so glad to see her. I knew Becca was ballsy enough to not be pushed away, but be kind enough to get Mari to open up. Define open up. It still took months before anything that could be considered a night on the town occurred. Just getting Mari to go to Starbucks was a victory at the time. There are tiny guys thinking I'm the biggest schlep on earth, letting my wife go to bars or clubs with a single girlfriend. 99% of the time, you would be 100% correct. And I should have put a stop to that much sooner. But the moment our lives, after all the sadness and isolation, getting her out and about seemed to cheer her up, even just after the first time. She tried to explain she's suddenly become a wife and a mother in a period of 2 years. Yeah, her going out with the single friends, bars and clubs and all that. Obviously, she had postpartum depression and all that stuff like that, and he was doing his best to help her hold things together for the family as a good man and father would. But what she does, I don't care how much anxiety she had and depressed and everything, she's awful. And we're going to get more into her explaining all this. But don't you worry, guys. I know you want Scorched Earth. That it's coming, especially part 4. Good Lord, it's coming. She said, listen to this, guys. She said seeing how thirsty men were for her, even if it was for sex, boosted her ego. She claimed the first incident wouldn't have happened if she hadn't been so drunk, but it happened willingly. Once the knob was slobbed, she knew I'd never touch her again. If I knew. She knew she'd lose everything because she came into the marriage with nothing. There you go. She enjoyed men chasing after her to boost her ego, and she knew if this guy found out and she told him, she'd lose everything because she came into the marriage with nothing. And, by the way, mentioned alcohol. Imagine that. It's amazing the patterns you see in these stories, guys. I asked her if she ever thought I'd find out about her cheating or how I'd react if I did. She said she knew it would destroy me. She claimed she felt horrible about it. Yeah, we can tell how horrible she feels about this whole thing. I asked the obvious question, why continue to cheat? She claimed as soon as she sobered up after cheating, she felt guilt, shame, and regret. I did remember her being really sad for a week after going out the first time. Rebecca came over and the two of them talked for hours alone. From that point forward, for months, I had the old Mari back. She told Becca that she felt unworthy of me because of what she did. She knew if I found out we would be done and I would go after Michael. She claimed she decided to take it to the grave and tried to be the best wife she could be in every way to make it up to me. How many times have you heard stories, guys, when the woman cheats, gets caught, and swears she'll be the best wife ever, right? And then eventually goes back to the cheating. That's why I say once a cheater, always a cheater. Get rid of them. Red flag, yeah, now. Think I'm a fool all you wish, but we had a baby to look after, and I've been doing 95% of the caregiving. Overnight, I got my wife back. At the time, I would have been stark raving mad to think that was a red flag. It was a damn miracle at the time. Within 2 weeks, I was back working part-time, then full-time once Mari was fine, as a stay-at-home mom. Looking back, the time just before and just after Michael was a year old, those have been some of the happiest of our lives, at least for me. To find out it was all due to her trying to make up for blowing a stranger in his car forever altered those happy memories. I asked why she cheated again. If I just wasn't enough for her. I'd always thought we had a great sex life aside from her depressed period. She always acted like she enjoyed the sex with me. She claimed the longer she went keeping the secret, the worse she felt about herself. But unlike before, after Michael was born, she couldn't let it on to me how she felt. She knew I'd want to know why she was sad to comfort her, but she couldn't tell me. Oh, poor her. Give me a box of Kleenex so I can cry over her. She claimed the internal struggle, keeping the secret, living a lie, of the facade of happiness. She reminded me when I went to a reunion of my biological mom's family out of state. I took Michael with him to introduce him to her family for the first time. Mari canceled the last minute, claiming she was ill. I couldn't have stopped her from cheating on me at that moment. That was already done. But I might have kept her from heading down a road that would deceive me for 6 years, that something I cherished was never mine. All those years she was cheating on him. Don't feel bad for this crazy broad for a second, and I'm sure none of you guys either do. I wasn't blaming myself. Her ass could have and should have been on that plane. No, actually, she should have already confessed to her infidelity and let me move on with my life. Yet somehow multiple mistakes, complicated with multiple lies, with little concern for consequences, and that's my burden to bear now. That's something you do to an enemy, not someone you claim to ever loved. She gave me the same story of being so depressed that weekend while I was away. She knew she was unworthy, even if I didn't. She was punishing herself, even if I didn't know she deserved it. At least that was the way she rationalized it. Key word, rationalized it. They make decisions and do things based on emotion, and they use rationalization to justify those actions, no matter how bad they were. She knew if I knew, I would view her as a WHORE and be disgusted with her. I never stopped showing my love, telling her how much I loved her. But she said at some point she realized if I knew the truth, I wouldn't love her. Well, no shit. And if the situation was reversed, she'd be the same way to him. The attention I focused on her didn't matter. It didn't carry the same weight as before. Because she realized she was unworthy of the attention. And I'd realize that too if I knew about her sleazy rendezvous. She said she called Becca for a shoulder to cry on, who convinced her to go out for drinks. Becca. Better call her Bitcha. I knew one Becca in my life, and she was a total piece of, you know that. Maybe it is her, for all I know. According to her, she spent the first part of the night crying and asking what she should do. The bartender bought her a few shots to help cheer her up. Yeah, I'm sure the bartender giving her the shots, he was really trying to help her. Didn't have any ulterior motive at all. He's never been in that situation to see a depressed woman there, unhappy. Here's some shots, honey, and just waiting for his moment. She didn't have to say Rebecca nudged her towards some flirting. She found herself kissing the guy in the back alley behind the car and stopped herself. She went back inside feeling even worse than before she realized she'd cheated yet again. More alcohol. Becca needed someone to help Mari inside. She asked the guy who just had his tongue down my wife's throat. Rebecca left him alone and clothes came off. I asked her if she once thought of Michael, if I ever entered her mind as she betrayed us both. She got pissed and told me she never betrayed her son. Bullshit, mama. When you're cheating, it isn't just on the husband, it's also on the kids and everybody else that love you and all that. It isn't just the husband. I let it be known she betrayed not just me, but Michael, but Carrie, our parents, everyone who watched us take our vows and God above. She betrayed the sanctity of our family and marriage. But I stopped and just shook my head, telling her despite what she'd done at this point, she just should have let me go. Exactly. She should have just told the guy and let him part ways, because obviously she wasn't being married, and there's no amount of love and attention and validation this guy could give her that'll ever make her happy. But instead, it was the easy way out and to do what she did. And guys, you still don't know the extent of what she did. I want you to think of the number 47. Keep the number 47 in the back of your mind. That's a little hint of what's coming. 47, guys. I told her I would have looked out for Michael, and she could have whored around with the entire state after we divorced. I told her I would have gladly written her name on the bathroom stalls for her. But she didn't. She kept lying. She kept cheating. So much of it disgusted me to hear. Like she had an actual strategy after the first few guys. She didn't want them getting attached to her, as she wasn't going anywhere unless she had to. She wasn't looking for an emotional connection. She called it fishing. Getting a guy's phone number, breaking the ice, give a little nibble, pull away, get him to pursue, but on her timetable. Sound familiar? When she said she already knew I thought she was beautiful, getting second opinions didn't feel like a bad thing at the time. I just looked at her shaking my head. At any rate, the bartender is not Carrie's father. That much we are sure of. He was months too early in the game to have been a sperm donor, and she claims they only hooked up just that one time. Yeah, sure, because anything she says is believable and reputable at this point. I asked if she could remember the names of specific guys she was talking to and getting to pursue her. She says maybe a couple of the first names, but I wouldn't know where to find them. Was enough to shut the conversation down for the night. Yeah, I wanted more answers, but the details of the BS aren't coming out in one night, and that wasn't what I came there for. Dude, you're never going to get the full story. You'll get parts of it as you discover more and tighten the screws, but you're never getting the whole story. She was seated in the chair to be able to prop her up on her cast and some pillows, so I got down inches from her face. I told her she was a pitiful excuse for a human, and I truly believe she has no soul. I told her that her actions have caused unimaginable pain and will continue to do so in the future. But I looked her squarely in the eyes and I let her know I was not going to let her hurt my children anymore. Go, Dad. I told her point blank that I was the one who got deceived for 6 years. If anyone was going to be getting a little slack for focusing on his needs, it was going to be me. But Mari, I told her, and I meant every word, petty bullshit and manipulation is just going to make me loathe her even more. We weren't getting back together, ever. I was disgusted for her to even touch me. Loyalty wasn't even in her vocabulary. But father or not, I was going to be loyal to Carrie. I was going to protect her as much as I could. And if I end up having to protect her from her mother's lies, manipulations, and deceit, so be it. I told her Nadia has friends that would love a new BMW for getting her declared an unfit mother. I went there. It was a threat, and I meant every damn word. Awesome. And let me tell you guys, he does, and he follows through with this. I told her she had things to say, she could say them to my face. Getting Michael or Carrie to relay things their mother said was not happening ever again. Carrie was to know little to nothing about any details of our divorce and for right now paternity. But when the time came to tell her, I would be the one that would break the news. It would be me who got to explain how her mother victimized us both, but we survived together. There was no way in hell I was allowing the person who destroyed so much for us both, to get to downplay or blame it on me. That horrible news wasn't coming anytime soon for her, as far as I planned, until the need arised. And I'll decide when that is. I point out that she doesn't have a lawyer and let her know the kids would be staying with me for at least the next 2 weeks. She needs some time to reflect on not only the entirety of her betrayal, but her cruel manipulation that will only hurt Carrie. I let her know that when she earned the right to be a mother again, and that there wasn't much she could do. I had the kids, she had 2 casts, let her live with some loneliness. You're darn right. Yeah, at this point, she still hasn't retained an attorney. This guy's got money, he's got a lawyer, a darn good shark of a lawyer, and she hasn't done that yet because she's in denial, thinking, oh, I'll just get this guy back. Wrong. My God, I made mistakes in my life. On the drive home, I kept wishing someday I could have just known how things would have turned out. And this is the biggest struggle of my life. I hope it is the biggest struggle I ever face, but so much has been destroyed. The sham marriage I was living needs to be torn down, ground into dust, and the soil tilled with salt. But there's no reason to hurt a little girl who at the moment is blissfully unaware at the battle between her mother and her daddy. I want it to stay that way. Those children cannot see us together. When Mary and I are in the same room, the entire aura oozes venom. That's beyond toxic for us. I'm not subjecting the kids to any of it. I will not fight her in front of them, but I swear I will put her in her place and call it the slightest BS. He says here, I'm sorry this has been so long. I just feel like every decision I make has 1,000 ramifications. The man up, DNA doesn't matter people need to understand that hurting Carrie is the last thing I want to do. And I have every intention of being not only in her corner, but fighting for her. I don't know how this shit is going to end, but me and that little girl got shafted by the same person. A person that I refuse to let damage her the way she damaged me. Not happening, and no motherfucker is coming around my daughter until I allow it. That won't be Mari's decision either. If I check his background and meet him, I'll make that call if the day ever comes. Until that point, my son Michael, my daughter Carrie, and I are weathering a storm. I've managed to shield them from what's coming. I will shield them from as much shrapnel as I can, but our souls are all going to bleed a time or two before this is all over. The carnage could have been prevented, but once the bomb goes off, it can't be avoided. I'm sorry for venting. I intended it as an update only, but this is all too much sometimes. I am in therapy 2 times per week, not sure if it's helping, but it's early on and with the shrink, so I'll give it a few more sessions. I have to go to bed now, so I'll post this and let it be. I won't post it again for a while. It has helped to verbalize some of what I've been feeling. So thank you. I just need to focus on my healing, make the transition in life as seamless as it can for the kids. Thank you all for the direction and encouraging words. Many have been a huge help. I promise to return the favor and try to help some others someday, just not today. So guys, that's part 3. And tomorrow is part 4. And to believe me, like I said, tomorrow, that's the Scorched, that's the crazy Scorched. This guy and I'm going to give a little clue. That's for part 4 for tomorrow. 2 words: civil suit. And wait till you see what happens. And also Scorched Earth. And keep the number 47 in the back of your minds. 47, that number is going to be very important. I'm sure some of you guys can connect the dots what 47 means. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me just think about this. Again, part 4 will be tomorrow. And then the final part 5 will be on, today's Saturday. So part 4 will be Sunday. And part 5, wrapping this whole thing up, will be on Monday. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And guys, be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.